at the bottom of the page, Resolution R21-371 by Council Members Banks and Gissison Palmer. A resolution committing the City of New Orleans to the strategic, equitable, transparent, and responsible use of the American Rescue Plan funds.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, Nellie from CBNO is here to... Nellie, you have a presentation, or are you just here for questions?
Just a comment.
Okay, please.
Hey, everyone. 4:54, you've made it this far. We're almost there, so I won't waste too much of your time. I just wanted to express my thanks to Council Members Banks and Palmer and the rest of you all for supporting and consistently showing up for equity, transparency, and accountability. Y'all don't need me to tell you about the way that COVID has exposed inequity. I have seen each and every one of you out in your own communities fighting those inequities since this whole thing started. And I am grateful to your commitment to continuing to have equity in mind as you're planning the longer term recovery, not just the response. This resolution is a very important first step, and as you all know, is only as meaningful as the follow-up actions that follow it. I'm here to underline some of the key points and also offer my support in making that follow-up happen. The key points of this are that it is inclusive, it is transparent, it is equitable, and it is accountable. I've been working with a team at the mayor's office on measuring resident trust in order to build that. And we've used a handful of signals of trust, and two of them are inclusiveness and transparency. And, three, and accountability. And I have these scales that look like a thermometer, and the bulb is below 0, and it goes all the way up to 10. And on those three metrics, all three of them, we have more stickers below 0 than above 5. This is an area where this body and the City of New Orleans have room to improve, and we are here alongside you to help improve it. The narrative that this money is not new money and that the business as usual community process for spending this $388 million, 59% of our usual operating budget, and 4 times what we were projecting to lose this year in terms of revenue. I understand it's not a silver bullet, but it's not nothing. And so the community does want and does deserve a chance to have a voice in this process. Experts agree that we need a balance between immediate needs and long-term sustainability, and the people deserve a say. Just as much in this process as in our overall budget process, and I offer my support there too. So thank you so much for considering this resolution, and I offer CBNO support in transforming these ideals into action. Thank you.
Thank you. We had one other card from Maxwell Siradula. I think Max left, but the card says we strongly support equity and transparency, and I think he's gone. Do we have any online comments?
Yes.
If you would, please.
Monica Clark. Dear Honorable and esteemed members of City Council, below is a comment item 48, Resolution 21-371. I most humbly urge you as a taxpayer and resident of New Orleans to be mindful of equity, prioritize the people most heavily impacted by COVID and the recovery, inclusivity, get community input on the use of ARP funds, and incorporate community perspectives in decisions, intentionally seek out perspectives of people who are often left out, transparency, provide regular and accessible updates to the community about the ARP fund spending, accountability, measure outcomes and results of the ARP funds, and share that information proactively with the community. Timothy Hemphill, representing Committee for a Better New Orleans. I'm writing in support of equitable recovery and use of funds. Experts and federal guidance agree that the ARP money should be used to advance equity, and that cities should engage the community to make a plan for spending. However, $194 million has already arrived, and the community hasn't heard a peep about the city's community engagement plan. I am in support of R21-371, a resolution expressing the council's commitment to equity, inclusivity, transparency, accountability. Bob Morrell, the public deserves significant input into where ARP dollars should be distributed. I strongly urge council to make the ARP distribution as participatory as possible. And Mayor, please follow through with the accountability and transparency. The words are good. Let's help our community depend on ethical and responsible leadership. Thank you. Keith Twitchell, a robust and inclusive community input process must be at the core of deciding how to spend this vast amount of money coming into the city, not check the box, not making decisions and bringing them to the community after they've been made. This should start in the community because it is the people of New Orleans who will be the most impacted by how these dollars are spent, and it is the people of New Orleans who should set the priorities as how these dollars are spent. Respect the people. Asali Devon Ecclesiastes. We applaud this measure. At this moment in our city and our society at large, it's critical that those who proclaim to believe in equity, transparency, and good governance demonstrate it with policy and result-based accountability every single day. Taylor Holloway, ARP money should be used to advance equity and that cities should engage the community to make the plan for spending. Harry Lowenberg, I urge you to vote in support of R21-371. We need more than lip service in support of equity, transparency, inclusivity, and accountability. The gap between rich and poor in New Orleans only grows bigger, and the tendency for the poor to be disadvantaged at every turn. We need a real commitment to doing this recovery right. Thank you for supporting this resolution and mostly for taking it very seriously. Those are the end of the comments.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to move for adoption, and I know my colleagues have comments, but I want to make sure that everybody understands that the key words are equity, transparency, inclusivity, and accountability, and there will be a public participatory process. We want the public input on this, and because the public is at the forefront of what we're trying to do with these funds. So with that, that will be a part of the process moving forward. I know Councilman Russo and then Councilmember Palmer.
Thank you. I support obviously wanting to use the money in a transparent way for equitable and sustainable purposes with inclusivity. I just want to keep on reiterating that beyond plugging budget holes, that the ARP language is very clear about what it can be used for and that we don't lose sight of what that language is. One of those uses is the negative economic impacts caused by COVID. That gives us a wide berth as a body to decide what that money should be used for, and I think we need to have some very long and potentially tough discussions about what that looks like. Another one is supplementing the pay of essential workers, so people who served us at the height of COVID in particular, whose either pay suffered or needs to be replaced as a result of what's going on. And then the last one, and I know this is my hobby horse, is investing in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure. And I bring this up for two reasons. Number one, if you read the rules in particular, they stress that not only is water, sewer, broadband infrastructure important for creating more equity and sustainability in and of themselves because of what we know that's coming with storms or other natural disasters, but also that you need to provide good rates for people to work too. And that is really important in light of the vote that we took earlier this morning about paying people $15 an hour minimum wage in City Hall. So it's not just about investing in something that benefits all of us, it invests twice because it's an investment in infrastructure that serves all New Orleanians, but also making sure that the people who are doing the work are being paid what they're owed to. So thank you.
Councilmember Palmer.
Thank you, and I'm glad we're bringing this up, and I do think it's very important. I do think that this body has a very big role to play in terms of making sure that the public is engaged in this process and where the money goes. But when we also talk about economic development, and economic recovery, I think we also have to look within, and I'm glad you brought it up. You talk about the infrastructure, but there's also the human infrastructure that keeps businesses going in terms of what the city is supposed to be doing, and there has been a lack of resources given to departments like Safety and Permits and City Planning Commission, that if they operated more efficiently and had people there, they could really get more businesses going throughout the community. And I think that's something that we also have to look within on how we're doing it. And let's also be very clear too, violent crime has risen substantially during COVID. I mean, over 30%, and we're seeing that across the country. And if we don't use this also as an opportunity to find alternative ways to utilize funding to ensure that we can focus on violent crime and the root causes of that, then we're missing the boat as well. And of course, the root causes of some of that would also be youth services, which we have to look at if we really want a comprehensive approach to this. So I just say there's going to be a lot of conversations moving forward, but we can't lose track of what the numbers are reflecting and what has raised and what has been taken away during this COVID period. So thank you.
I'll just say.
Any other comments? Councilman Brissett.
Thank you, Councilmember Banks. I'll just round it out and just say I've called for a October 19th special hearing on the American Rescue Plan appropriation. And I know this body expects the administration to, one, be present, provide us with the information on how these dollars they propose to be spent, and we need to have the information well in advance. In addition, agencies receiving appropriations need to be present, including elected and department heads and so forth. And just because they're presenting these ordinances that will be on the agenda for that meeting does not mean that it's final passage at that committee meeting. It is up to this body how we will proceed. So just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you all.
Any other comments? All right, with that, please, council members, vote your machines. Seven yeas, no nays. It passes. Thank you.
On top of